Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 1, the Kobayashi Maru. I actually had to look up the name of this episode because after the credits that came 12 minutes within the episode, like you know how like they do the intro? Yeah, so like 12 minutes the intro came on, and then they after that they didn't even show the title of the episode's name, which is something I really hate about all these newer Star Trek shows. They don't even tell you what the episode is called. You have to like look it up yourself. Back in the good old days, they told you themselves. And so like for the most part, here's my thing. I've stated before, I don't particularly like none of the CBS Star Trek shows because they don't feel like Star Trek, and I stand by that. And so, like, I will say this about this episode. Now, there's always a few like the thing. Even though I hate these shows, there's like I don't hate every episode. Like there are actually some episodes I pretty much like. Pretty much, I like about 1 to 2, maybe 3 episodes per season for the most part. But it's very like rare because the only episodes I ever like, I want an episode that feels very Star Trekish. I will say I am very surprised by this episode. Like this episode actually felt like a Star Trek episode. Now it also still felt like a newer CBS Trek show. So I do have problems with this episode. But for the most part, I did enjoy a lot of stuff I saw and heard in this episode. But then again, there was some stuff in this thing that still bugs me about all this new Trek crap. So, like, um, pretty much what happens in this episode, it's been like a couple of months since season 3. And they're wearing new uniforms for some bizarre reason. And the older uniforms that they wore at the end of season 3, people are actually still wearing those. So why the costume change? I don't get. They do that a lot, like on Lower Decks and all this other stuff, but like they're doing it because of the whole DS9 thing when they had the 2 different uniforms because Next Generation was still going on. It's only because Next Generation was still going on, and the producers felt that if the next gen cast would change their uniforms, people would not like that. That's all that it is. It was a production reason. It wasn't an actual Starfleet like reason. So I wish they would stop doing that in all these newer Star Trek shows. But anyways, so it's been a couple of months, and so Discovery, the Federation has added like new planets. They went from like 30 something to like 50 something, I believe. And so they're getting back on track, but they're still hiding for some bizarre reason. I don't like the idea of Starfleet being like cowards, like hiding and everything. And they still have not reconnected with Earth no more. But they do now have a new president for the Federation. Let's see. So it starts off. Now this is something I both like and don't like. It starts off with like Book and Burnham. They go on a away mission to get dilithium to like this planet that they've never been to before. It's something they've been doing like a lot since season 3. This don't make no sense about his ship. You know how like it breaks apart whenever sometimes it just breaks apart for like no stupid reason. Like I get if it's like an important reason, okay, fine, because that's cool. This is like, the 32nd century. I'm down with that. But here's the problem with this. He takes his big ship out of the shuttle bay and he goes down to the planet. But before he goes, he curves around and he heads towards the dish section of like Discovery. And then the ship breaks apart. Then it goes down to the planet. Why did he curve around and go through the ship? Like all he had to do was just leave the shuttle bay and then go down to the planet. It made no sense. They only did that to be flashy visuals. And I'm tired of flashy visuals and like Discovery. And there's a lot of flashiness in this episode that bugged the crap out of me. It made me dizzy. I'm not joking. Like I was literally dizzy watching this like episode and stuff. Like look, I've never liked amusement rides. I hate going upside down, spinning around. I never liked that. I don't want to see that on a TV show. And I will get into that a little bit later. So while they're down at the planet, this is the part that also doesn't make no sense. Okay, so it's like They just roll up on these alien planets, be like, huh, here's some dilithium. They're gonna meet a hostile alien. And this time they did. There was a huge misunderstanding. First, this alien planet, they didn't understand, why are you pitying us and giving us stuff. Then there's like an exchange of dialogue that was just cringy. It was more jokiness, more humor. Look, I don't like humor in Star Trek, period. I have never liked humor. If you are to put humor in Star Trek, which I will accept, it has to be from a character that is emotionless. When Spock does it, Data, 7 to 9, it's funny because they are like stiff at boards and they have no emotions. So when they do humor, it's very funny. But when you have that Neelix type of humor in Star Trek, then I'm ready to turn the screen on the TV off and stuff. And that's how I felt this time. Actually, to tell you the truth, 12 minutes into the show, I turned the TV off. Because for 12 minutes, this is what happened. They're on the planet, they exchange dialogue, there's some humor, the aliens misunderstand, they scan the cat on the ship, think it might be a queen, and they're like, oh no, it's just a pet. They're like, oh, are you gonna enslave and make us pets and everything? Then they get pissed and their wings come out and they start firing on Book and Burnham. And then it's a chase on a cliff. They make reference that it's always a cliff, and because that's something that's been happening a lot in the JJ movies, they get on his shuttlecraft. They go back to Discovery, and then they fix the aliens satellite because it's been malfunctioning, and then they just head off. That happened in 12 minutes. That didn't need to take 12 minutes. That was too long. And then the intro comes in. Now, my problem with all this stuff on the planet, one, I'm happy they went to a planet. Two, I'm happy they met an alien species. Three, the alien species actually looks cool. I like the way they look. I do not like the wings. However, I get why this alien species was a little upset, but they kind of just rushed to conclusions really fast, and Burnham and Book didn't do no favors by acting stupid. And that caused a huge conflict where they just started firing on them. Also, them running, like, I'm tired of all the action. I'm tired of all the flashiness. And what didn't make no sense was kind of like, why didn't they just beam down there? They can beam with dilithium. Two, why is dilithium a different color now? Three, why did they take Book's ship just to take his shuttlecraft? Where is his ship at? So it's kind of like they took his big ship down to the planet, and then when they got there, they took the shuttle pod craft thing. Why? Like, why didn't he all them ships to go down there? And why couldn't they just take a Discovery shuttle? That made no sense. They just wanted to be flashy with his ship breaking apart and all this action stuff and them running off a cliff and everything. And speaking of the run off the cliff, I'm tired of all the meta references in here. Basically, this entire episode was very meta because they reference things that's been pissing off fans, and they egg us on over and over with it, with the whole cliff thing. That's something that happens in nearly every JJ's movie. Like in the beginning, they're running from an alien species. They are running off a cliff. They jump off the cliff. They land on some of their technology and all this other stuff. And so, like, I don't understand why they just didn't hail the alien species before they just rolled up on their planet. Like, that's something old Star Trek would have done. They would have hailed the planet and be like, hey, we have some dilithium for you, and blah, 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 and everything like that. And they don't do that no more. They just showed up there, imposing themselves. And not only that, but why is Michael Burnham leading the array team with Book? Like, why? I'm okay with Book going on the away team because he's their liaison to like the 32nd century, similar to how Neelix was on Voyager in the Delta Quadrant. But Burnham is now the captain. She's supposed to sit in the big chair and send her first officer, who we still don't know who that is, down to the planet and negotiate and all that stuff. And she didn't do that. She's still doing everything. And so, like, and then so now, after all that craziness, 12 minutes in, still mind you, and after the intro, we get to see what the Federation's been up to and everything. Now, The dude who's the security officer, he took command of the ship while Burnham was down there. He is now a commander. In fact, everybody has promotion, it seems. Tilly is now a lieutenant, and everybody else is now a commander that's on the bridge crew. Now, I will say this. I'm glad they listened to the fans. They finally gave the bridge crew something to do, and they're finally starting to mention people's name. I now remember one person's name. The lady with the weird eye thing, the scar on the side of her head and the stuff. Declan, I think her name is. Now, the black lady who's the ops, I still forget her name, but it starts with the O, and it sounds Asian. But I forget her name. And it's like, thank God. Now I don't have to keep going to like Wikipedia and find out what these people's names and ranks are. Like, because they never really wanted to tell people what their names or ranks were. And so, like, trying to think, something else. Oh, the lady with the scar on the side of her head. How come they haven't fixed that yet? They're in the 32nd century, for crying out loud. And she still has that. Now, Adira, they made her an ensign. And I didn't understand why she was a Starfleet officer until the next scene comes up. Because she hasn't went through Starfleet training because the Federation still isn't back on track like
their dress uniforms.
So there's a big ceremony. Like, and they had the dress uniforms muted. You know, and they just ring like they just ring like depression. Like, that's the thing, they're dark. Everything about this show is still dark. Discovery inside is still dark. The alien planet was dark. Everywhere you go, except for Book's planet, is dark. And I don't understand why they're still doing this whole darkness crap. And so, like, so Burnham gives a ceremony speech about how like Federation is getting back on track and all this other good stuff, and she introduces the president. The president is actually half Bajoran and Kardashian. That's kind of cool. And so, like, because those two species always hate each other. And so, like, strangely enough, the president wants to go aboard Discovery as like they go on like a mission because they have like a distress signal from this Deep Space Nine outpost. It's like a repair place. Oh, also, another thing I liked how they're doing more Star Trek type stuff. They have like the shipyards and the new Archer shipyard, I think they call it. And then so the new ships they're building and everything. It's like, you know, that's nice. That's what I want to see on Star Trek, doing Star Trek type stuff. And so I don't understand why the president wanted to go with her and everything. Oh, they mentioned they're going to start up Starfleet Academy. So I'm thinking to myself, if they're going to start up Starfleet Academy, then how in the world did Adira become a Starfleet officer already? Was it kind of like the Wesley thing where she's like an acting ensign? No. Burnham just promoted her to ensign, like just like that. Like, at least with Wesley, he was an acting officer and he wore a completely different uniform from the rest of everybody else. But she just ups and gives him like a promotion and stuff. And so like, my bad, I had to clear my throat. It is cold. I have the heat on and it's still cold in this house. So anyway. So like, yeah, it's just like no training, no Starfleet. I get it, you know, the collective minds of all the other people that merged with her and stuff like that, but like still, you know what I'm saying? And she's a prodigy, so that makes sense why she'll be an officer, but she has no formal training. So in situations, she's gonna screw up. And I think she does towards the end and stuff. I'll get to that a little bit later. So, like, the president goes with, like, Burnham and everything. And I don't understand why. Like, she's the president. I even agree with Burnham. Like, your life will be in danger if you come with us. But she doesn't anyway. And so, like... Oh, let me get to some Saru stuff. The stuff with Saru, the Baru, and the... Kelpians and everything, that was cool. I like that. I like the scenery. I like the chamber. It looks like the Klingon chamber a little bit, just redressed. But I liked all that. That was cool. That was neat. I also liked the interaction between him and that little man-child that screamed last season. That was nice. The dude's all like, I think of you as like a father. That was touching. That was written very beautifully. and it didn't feel forced at like all. It just felt very genuine. Now the stuff down with Book and his brother and his planet, that was nice and touching. My only problem is I wish they would have saved that for the next episode. See, in normal Star Trek, you have an A plot and a B plot. You don't have a C plot. And they added a C plot. And the C plot didn't add to nothing on the show. So it's like, they could have saved that for like another episode. And in fact, they could have even saved the Book and the Saru stuff for the next episode. Because even Saru stuff didn't really have nothing to do with what's going on with the main overarching like plot. Like the A and the B is supposed to merge together, even though they're so differently in old Star Trek shows, But for the most part, they're supposed to merge together, and these two didn't merge like together. They were completely separate. So I would have saved those two plots for like the next episode. But the stuff going on with Book, he's down there with his brother and his nephew, and they're doing a ritual, which was nice. I love that the planet was lit. But then we find out something's happening. Something's crash landing on his planet. He takes his ship. He goes up in the atmosphere. It's a giant like asteroid planet looking thing, and it busts apart. And it hits his planet. He can't do nothing to stop it, so he heads to Discovery. Now, what I don't understand is like, why didn't he just beam his brother and nephew up and then head to Discovery? Because we didn't later find out, boom, his planet gets destroyed. And it's just like, okay, so now this is the main story arc of what's going on in this series, or season, I should say. And so, because they had this is something that's been told in the trailer. So it's a big anomaly, and it's destroying stuff. It can destroy a planet. They don't understand how or why, so they have to stop it. Everything's always has big stakes in this show. Like, can't they just do something small? and so, like, I'm thinking to myself, dude, he just reunited with his brother. Now his brother is probably dead. He spent all them time collecting all those animals just for them to die. Like, do they always have to have everything so dark and grim on this show? So now we get to the part that I actually like. It's the part where the space station is in distress. And so, for some reason, she sends Tilly and she sends Adira only. Now, Adira is the prodigy who works with that type of technology, so she's the best suited. I get that. Tilly goes, because I forget why. I think Tilly knows a little bit about that tech too, so she goes. They don't send an engineering team for some bizarre reason. Why not? Why an away mission of 2 people? You're supposed to send an away team of engineers to go along with those people. And you're supposed to send your commanding officer to go. And I don't understand why. But this is what I don't understand. It's like, why not just send? Because she now has like, let's see, 1, 2, 3. She now have 4 like or at least commanders on the show. 3 I know for a fact, the lieutenant commanders now. The blonde lady in the ponytail, she might actually have the actual rank of commander now, because I'm pretty sure she was a lieutenant. No, wait, I'm gonna get her confused. Okay, see, that woman in season 1, she played the cyborg looking lady. And the cyborg looking lady was like a lieutenant commander. And then in season 2, for some reason they decided to recast the cyborg lady, but the lady who used to play her, they had her now playing the ponytail lady, because I guess she wanted to show her face, but they barely showed her. And I think she had the rank of lieutenant commander. I am not 100% sure, because this show never shows rank, but I remember she was high ranking and stuff. So technically she should be like a commander if my guess is correct, but I'm not really sure. So she sends Tilly. Now, I have problems with this entire scene, and I also like this entire scene. I like it because, 1, going on away missions and helping people, that's very Star Trek. I love that. 2, the bridge crew. They actually do and say stuff. Oh, speaking of which, they replaced the one black dude with another black dude. And the other black dude, I think he said he's stationed someplace else temporarily. Chances are the actor probably has another acting gig somewhere, probably. Because why bring in a new person? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I like that the bridge crew actually did stuff. this time, and they actually got to say stuff, and they actually um, got to do stuff that's in their position of their station. Although the pilot lady, she's not supposed to tell people if shields are down and all this other stuff, and if the shields go down, then all this other crap. She's supposed to fly the ship. The security dude, the Asian dude, is supposed to do all that, but he doesn't do it because they had to give her something to say too, because this show likes to let's keep it Michael Burnham centric and everything, and so I appreciated so much the interaction with the bridge crew and everything. A whole lot more than last season of say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. I hated that crap. I wanted to go through the screen to slap people who wrote that. And so that was a nice touch. Also, let me point out, I love the uniforms this season. I'm still curious to know why they changed stuff from last season, but I do appreciate the uniforms and stuff. And so Tilly and them, they transport over there. Now this will don't make no sense. Now it's been established now with the new communicators that you can transport any place on the ship. So they transport from the bridge onto the ship. When they transport there, they're wearing now new uniforms. They're wearing those little combat security vest things, and I don't like those vests. I want them in their uniforms. I hate those things. In Star Trek, you just don't wear a bulletproof vest. I don't like that. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't like that. Anyway, now this is the part that bugged the snot out of me. Okay, remember how I said I hate humor? Okay, Tilly is still very humorous. Tilly still cusses a lot. I don't like cussing in Star Trek. I don't like humor in Star Trek. Tilly is not the person who should be doing the humor. It should be s4e1 and everything, because he is like the Data and the 7 and 9 and the Spock of the show. So it would be more fun. It's always more funny when it's with him. With Tilly, she and I do like the actress who plays Tilly. Don't get me wrong. I like her. I think she's funny, but I don't want her being funny on the show. And it's cringy when she's funny on the show. Another problem I'm having acting-wise, because everybody did a really great job acting, except for probably 4 people in this entire episode. And those people were the actress who plays Tilly, Adira, Burnham, and the actor who plays Stamets. Now, I'll get into why a little bit later. Now, with Tilly, the problem I have with her is that, like I said, she's too comedic at times. And a problem I had writing-wise with her was when she gets there, she does like the very formal thing, like, we're here to help and everything. But then the man's all like, the commander, by the way, the commander of that space station, his space station, she is taking control of like the situation, what's going on, because she's there to help. I get that. They normally do that every time there's an away mission. That normally always happens. Sometimes the commander will take charge, and if things are really bad, they take charge. And most of the time, if it's not that bad, they assist. In this situation, things are dire because the space station, something hit it, and now it's orbiting out of control. So, and the gravity system is messed up. By the way, I like them upside down. They should have kept them upside down the entire time. That would have been a nice visual. What is not a nice visual? I'll get into that later. But back to Tilly. So with Tilly, he tells her straight up, like, I am in charge of this station. This is my station. I know how everything works. Don't touch that because, something bad will happen and it'll probably like explode. Tilly, instead of being cordial and professional, she gives him sass with a look. And I'm just like, dude, you don't give your commanding officer sass, period. And she gave him sass because she thought she's all that. You know what I'm saying? And he let both her and Adira know that I know this technology and I know what you brought, and I know that it does this, that, and that. And they're both shocked because they thought he was going to be an idiot, and then they know nothing. Why was it written like this? It's because, okay, in modern day television, and I hate saying this, but it is true. In modern day television, women are superior to men. They make all the men stupid and they make the women all smarter and everything. It's been happening with nearly every TV show you see nowadays. And it happens a lot in Star Trek Discovery. If you watch the Star Trek short, something with Tribbles. Oh, by the way, a Tribble just walks in the corridors in Discovery for no reason. Why? Well, why? Is the Tribble now an officer? Does it have a sentient being the way it can do stuff? Why was there a Tribble just randomly walking the corridors and stuff? This show. So anyway, in the Tribble episode, in the short, the man that was there, he made to look like the complete doofus idiot, and all the women there were made to be very competent. The man even walks around in his underwear as a bad situation is going on. And he is the one for the cause for all the Tribbles to multiply the way they are. And so fans have been complaining about that, and mostly the fandom minutes and stuff. And so this is kind of like the meta thing of them just pointing out, hey, you don't like this? Well, guess what? We're going to point it out, and we're going to make you pissy even more by keep on doing it. And so I didn't appreciate how she gave him sass. Now, let's contradict the situation with the situation that was handled correctly. In Star Trek Voyager episode Equinox, the Equinox is badly damaged. You can see it's badly damaged. Now, with the space station, you can't really see it's damaged because everything still looks clean and everything. But they're still spiraling out of control, like I said. And so, with Voyager, when they went to the Equinox, everybody on Voyager was assisting and helping to rescue people. Some people's all like, no, I'm not leaving my station, blah, 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 this and that. The Voyager crew, instead of giving them sass, they explained the situation to the person and told them, look, I understand this is your station, this is your ship, but you are in dire need right now and everything. Like, they did it in a very compassionate, educational kind of way. Even when Janeway told Ransom, the captain of that ship, that like she hates to pull rank on him, but in a situation like this, you know, she is the captain and with the better ship and, you know, stuff like that. She didn't do it in a mean way. She didn't do it in a nasty way. She didn't do it in a sassy way, but they made Tilly do it with some sass on her face. And I did not appreciate that. Now with Adira, my problem with Adira this season. Now I liked Adira last season. Adira was cool. Adira talked like a typical Star Trek person. In this season, in this episode, she's very jittery and nervous with like a tick almost. And it's just kind of like, what happened to that calm person from last season? Now she's just like, like she's stuttering a lot. Now, if they want to make her into the Reginald Barkley of the show, that's fine. But they need to establish she's been like that since the get-go. We know for a fact she's not. Now, if she's nervous on going on away missions, which she is, then they need to keep on establishing that throughout the entire season. If this is just a one-done type deal where she's all jittery in this one episode and not in no other, then that's going to be a problem because it's just like this is out of character for her and everything. And so, like, it became very annoying with her being jittery and stuttery because she kind of like overdid it. And she overdid it with all the expressions on the faces. And it was just like, it wasn't condensed and controlled like the actor who played Barkley and everything. And so she helped out, which makes sense for her to help out because she knows that tech more than like anybody else. And so, like, then something strange happens. Then the commander dude starts to freak out for some bizarre reason. And Tilly makes a point of that he's freaking out and everything. I don't understand why now all of a sudden he's freaking out. I guess because, you know, he's in a dire situation and stuff like that. That's fine, that happens. But he takes it to the extreme. He pulls out a phaser and wants to shoot like Tilly and like Adira. That was overkill. Like, why did they have to push it to the extreme and everything? But then, like, he's calmed down by the president of the Federation by telling him, like, oh, you know, once this is over, you get to go back home and you have such a beautiful planet and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And so that calms him down. Like, and I don't get that. Also, like I said before, I don't like how Tilly tried to take over his station and he's the commander. She's only a lieutenant. If you really think about her rank, she's only a cadet. because she's always jumping in the ranks every season, kind of like how Jordy did. But Jordy was an actual smart, intelligent person, and he had his emotions under control, except for season one. Well, Tilly does not. Tilly just cries and whines and complains and needs Burnham to hold her hand, which one time she literally said, I need Burnham and everything. So I don't know why they keep jumping her up in the ranks. And I think now she wants to take up a commanding position from what I saw in the trailer. And I'm just like, no, keep her where she is. Let her learn like every other Starfleet character we've ever seen in the past. Don't, like, even Nog. Like Nog, it took Nog a while to become the person that he was, you know what I'm saying? But Tilly is just like, Tilly Willy is just like, wee, I get to be like a commander now and everything. And I don't like that. So let me just get this visual out the way. I am sick and tired of this show constantly moving the camera around. I am tired of this show constantly flipping things upside down and rotating stuff. I am tired of, like, I'm tired of that. I'm tired of the lens flares. When you add all that spinning around, all that moving around, and all those lens flares, it gets very nauseating and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm not on an amusement ride. When, like, it will make, like, you don't move a camera around the way this director did unless, like, it has significance. So, like, say a ship is flying around a debris field, then yeah, you will move the camera around just to show the momentum of, like, the ship flying around and dodging, like, the asteroids and stuff like that. Them being upside down the whole time, that was fine because the gravitational units is messed up. But them being upside down and the camera rotating and turning them around and then moving in and moving out and doing all this other stuff, that was unnecessary. And they constantly kept doing that. Also, what is up with the weird sound effect that the spore drive now has? It sounded almost comedic and everything. I like the new shield, but the shield is like a grid. So it's like the Folian grid and stuff. But I like it. At least it's different because, you know, they're in the 32nd century, so I appreciate things looking differently. So I do like that. So they extend the shield around like the station and everything. But here's the part that really pissed me off the most. Burnham. Something happened. They have to evacuate the station, and so there's only like one pod that can do it at a time, but then something happens. So they have to get one of those little pod things and spacewalk on like the station to stabilize something. Burnham decides, oh, it has to be me. And not only did she say it has to be her, she literally tells everybody, I'm the best one suited for this. I have clocked in more hours on those things. I'm better suited. It can be me and like only me, blah, blah, blah. So the president's all like, no. And she's all like, your job is to stay here like on this ship and everything and command your ship. You need to send another crew person over there. And so Burnham's like, no. It has to be me. And and like, again, that's the whole meta thing because people have been complaining over and over. They're tired of Michael Burnham literally doing everything on this show. She is literally perfect. Like she is. She can do everything. I thought she never did medical yet, but she can do everything on this show. And she even said that she doesn't believe in failure, and something that the president tells her, you are not immune to failure and everything. That's once again the fans upset at Michael Burnham always being perfect. Even last season, she still did everything. There was two situations where she had to beam down on like a planet or like a spaceship or something like, a spaceship, and she took an alien species with her as representative to, no, 3 times actually. And so you think that alien that accompanied her would be able to talk to their people and calm their behinds down. No, it was her. And then not only that, but the doctor kept telling her 2 different occasions, Michael, only you can do this and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and na, 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 na. And I'm just like, no, she is not the only person who can do that. The person that came with her, who is part of that alien species, should be able to do that. And that really pisses me off. They make her do every stinking thing. So once again, she disobeys orders. Once again, she is insubordinate. Once again, she proves time and time again, she is not cut out to be captain. She literally isn't. So she goes on this suicide mission and it goes crazy and she almost dies and her pod gets like destroyed. So she has to like fly out. and it's more like action crap. And then they now have grappling hooks, and so she attaches it to like the hall, and she's swinging around like Spider-Man, and she's climbing the board, and she's doing this and she's doing that, and woohoo, she saved the day once again. And it's like all this slow motion action stuff with the hair flipping around. This is not an MTV music video. This is not a Matrix movie. Enough with the slow motion, enough with the action. I'm tired of Star Trek trying to be like a movie and look like a movie with all like the craziness and the action and the flashiness. Just be simple, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just like, dude, she is the captain. She just risked her life. And it's like, she is not cut out to be captain. Please, for the love of God, make Saru captain again. He gets it. And now I do understand what fans have been saying. They're tired of every captain having a catchphrase whenever their ship either engages or something like that. Hers is "Let's fly." That's her new catchphrase. And I'm just like, now I see what people have been saying. Like they need to stop that because it's been doing it ever since the JJ thing. And but it's kind of cool that a captain does have their own catchphrase. But at the same time, when every captain now has that catchphrase on screen, it's just kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? So I never got into Stamets. Stamets should have been one of the people to go down on the space station because he is literally smart. He is literally the engineer of the ship, even though he's not. He's a science officer. And once again, we have not seen engineering. We only see his lab. The thing that bugged me about this was that this actor is normally good, but he kind of overdid it in the acting this time. He was too erratic, too scared, like that. You know what I'm saying? Like when the ship started going crazy and stuff. And so like, what kind of bugged me a little bit was that when he was talking to the away team, or no, to the bridge, he's all like, "Is the deer okay? Is she safe?" And then, "Oh yeah, is Tilly and everybody else okay?" It's like, dude. You're not like a Starfleet officer. Yeah, they're concerned about their like special loved one on like an away mission, but you never heard no Starfleet officer ever ask the bridge and the commanding officer, "Is this one person and this one person okay?" And then, "Oh, everybody else too." You've never heard that. I did not like that at all. And Hugh did the same thing. "Is the deer okay?" "Oh, until she okay too?" It's like, I get it. Y'all love her. Even though y'all have only known her for a couple of months and everything. But it's like, she is not the only priority on that ship. And that's not what a Starfleet officer does. And so, like, when they get back to the ship and everything, because that weird debris thing is like hitting their hull, and so they jump on out of there. How in the world did Tilly and Hugh lift that giant debris thing off the commander dude, the space station? They are not that strong. They are not Data. Okay, even Worf had a hard time lifting stuff and doing stuff. And Data had to help him out, or Riker had to help him out. But even when they lifted stuff, it wasn't that big. The only time we ever saw like real strength come from Worf is when his son was in danger, and Picard like told them like, you know, he had to hurry because I need to fire on the ship and blah 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 blah, and the ship is firing. And so something was happening, and his son was trapped under all this debris, and there was a huge beam. And so he lifted the beam. It took him a long time to lift it, but that adrenaline rush of like your loved one being in danger gave him the strength to lift it. They didn't love that commander, so where did that strength come from? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, they are not that strong to do that. And then of course he dies and stuff like that. And so he didn't get to go to like his home world, which he really wanted to and stuff. And I do appreciate them finally showing a tricorder on this show. So I don't think I've ever seen a tricorder in all 4 seasons of this show. However, what doesn't make sense is that they established last season that their tricorders are inside their badge. So all they have to do is touch it. And so why does he have an actual handheld device tricorder and stuff? And once again, you don't really get to see too much of what it really looks like because they go really fast and stuff. And so they broke their own rule from last season. Also, aren't they supposed to have programmable matter on this ship now? Didn't the ship get retrofitted or something like that? I don't know. Anyway, now I'm still a little peeved a little bit about how unprofessional the doctor was when the away team and the survivors beamed on Discovery, because like the first thing came out of his mouth is Adira okay? And then he's like, is Tilly all right? And then he ran straight to Adira, and it's like, dude, you can clearly see people are hurt with like bruises and blood on their face, and you run to like your adoptive daughter. Like, that's so unprofessional. Maybe if he would have ran and got to that dude quick enough, maybe that guy could have survived and everything. And it's just like, I get it, it's a touching moment, and like they love, like, their adoptive child and everything, but it's kind of like, that's so on Star Trek. Like, no other doctor would have done that in Star Trek, and if they did, they would have got called out for it. Like, remember when Worf and DS9, like one of my favorite episodes of him and Jadzia, they're like looking for that Kardashian, and they're like, or Romulan, I can't remember which one it was, and that person had info on like the war or something like that, and like Jadzia got hurt, and Worf decided to abandon the mission to save his wife, and he got like really in trouble for that. And it's just kind of like, it kind of reminds me a little of like this. So, like, one thing that bugged me, because, Burnham knows everything, she realized that the president lady lied to that officer about, like, because she had to calm him down. So she lied to him. And Burnham's all like, did you lie to him? I think you lied to him. And all this other stuff. And I'm just like, dude, like, who is she to, like, reprimand anybody being her? You know what I'm saying? And that's once again that meta crap of, like, fans just not liking what she does. Because she reprimands people, like, who ranks higher than her and stuff. And then so her and her have a talk in their in Burnham's like ready room. And so the lady tells her straight up, this is what fans have been saying. You shouldn't be like captain, pretty much, you know what I'm saying? You were willing to sacrifice the lives of your entire crew just for like a few people and everything. And Burnham's all like, I believe in getting everybody out and everybody being safe. That's true. That's how Janeway was. But people like Picard and people like Cisco know that what's that phrase? The lives of the many outweigh the lives of like the few or something like that. And that's something Burnham has not learnt just yet. And it makes her not capable of being a captain. And they started talking about the Maru, Koshi, I can't even say it. I'm tongue tied now. You know what I'm talking about. The title of this episode and how Starfleet officers, it's a win-win, or it's a no-win-win situation. Nobody is able to pass it in Starfleet Academy except for Kirk, because he rigged the system and he altered the program. So nobody is able, because it's seriously, it's one of those things where your back is up against like a rock and like a hard place or whatever you call it. And so she has to realize that sometimes you're going to have to let some people go. But she couldn't let Tilly go, because we know she loves herself some Tilly and everything. And so like, that's her best friend on the ship. And so like, even Troy had to learn that lesson when she did the holographic test of letting Worf and Geordi die in a mission that could have killed them and stuff. And Riker literally tells her that's one of the hardest things any officer has to do, and nobody wants to do it. Also, I hate the way everybody talks on this show. It's so modern and just weird. Like, okay, everybody does every other person on this show, except for the people I'm finna name, like, they act in a very Star Trek like manner when they speak, except for Tilly, Burnham, Stamets, Adira, and Book. Everybody else, well, sometimes Book act very Star Trekish sometimes, but yeah, the other ones, they act so modern, and it's just so weird to see that in Star Trek. Like, I've always liked Sonequa Martin Green back when she was on Once Upon a Time and The Walking Dead. She is a very good actress, but I've never liked her Star Trek acting. Her Star Trek acting is just so strange and weird. Like, she talks very fast. She has a lot of sass when she talks. She's always smiling or always looking scared, and it's just like, she never sounds like she should be in a Star Trek show. She always sounds like she's just talking to you on a regular basis and stuff. And the same thing with Tilly. Like if I had to rank this episode, I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10 or a C plus because it wasn't that bad, but it also wasn't that good because they still doing things that's irking the fans and starting to be like, because you think they would improve on the Michael Burnham character. She's proven since season 1 she is not ready to lead. Period. She does what she wants. Period. Like, and this is the problem I'm really having with this. It's not just a Star Trek thing. Take new Star Trek fans who are not familiar with this franchise, and they see this one officer who's supposed to be superior than everybody else and high ranking than everybody else, and she doesn't follow orders, and she's always messing up, and she's always saving the day. She's always so perfect. That gives the wrong message. You know what I'm saying? And that's who Michael Burnham is. She is the wrong message to Star Trek fans. She literally proves that no matter how much you mess up, you can do everything on your own and be the only person to figure something out, and you don't need nobody else's help, and you don't have to listen to a commanding superior officer or nothing like that. And so it's just the wrong lesson to like send. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's just, even though this wasn't like a terrible episode, it wasn't also a great episode either. The show is trying to make differences and everything, but it's taking way too long. It's 4 seasons in. They know what real Star Trek looks like. They know what real storytelling is about. I don't understand why it's taking them so long and they're still playing around to piss the fans off. Now, the dude who was in charge of Star Trek Picard season 1, he literally tried to just piss off fans left and right. You know what I'm saying? And this is exactly what the people of Discovery and the CBS stuff like to do. They love pissing off the fans. Now, granted, there is a group out there that is a little nuts and crazy and stuff, and they hate on the fact of just hating. Sometimes they nitpick way too much, but it's just kind of like the writers and they've even fought with the writers and directors and stuff like that, and it's kind of like the writers and directors should not cave into them. There should not be this meta reference of like, oh, you're immune to being like perfect and failure and stuff like that, or immune to failure, and like and the whole Tilly sass thing of sassing like superior officer, and like Tilly thinks she's all that and everything, and Tilly proved last season she is not all that. When the situation got dire and she took command of the ship, like she screwed up big time, and and all this other crap. So that's really only my thoughts for this episode. I'm hoping to God the other episodes are at least decent or like really good, because the reason why I haven't given up on this show, like I gave up on Lower Decks. I could not take Lower Decks after the first season of the first episode. It was just too depressing. I'm not down with this humor for Star Trek. But the reason why I haven't given up on Picard and Discovery yet is because I'm hoping that they will actually turn these shows into real Trek. And so I don't know how longer I can take before I just say goodbye. You know what I'm saying? Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.